Hi folks, Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. I do my own intros. So we're here, we're talking with South by Southwest, and it's 2017 South by Southwest, I probably should mention. And I'm here with Eileen Gordon of barnraiser.us. How you doing, Eileen?
I'm doing great. There's so much action at South by Southwest and there's so much to do, but it is an amazing slice of life. There are people from all over the country here and we're having a great time
That's
meeting some
awesome.
really interesting people.
Yeah, and you're like broadcasting from your hotel room. We can see there, and it's late at
I
night in
know,
South by
very
Southwest. So,
classy, isn't it?
hey, it looks like a nice hotel room. I've seen worse at South by Southwest.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you wait too long to book South by Southwest, you get some of those crazy off-beaten places.
Well, I have to say I've been here 3 days and I only had my first meal, my actual first meal tonight. So, it was on the go for a lot of it, but it's fun.
The nice
Given
thing
that
is,
we're in the food business, I should probably eat a little bit better, but you know how these shows
yeah,
are.
that's the hardest thing to do at CES. I was on my diet that I've been on for vegan stuff, and I'm trying to walk 50,000 miles. And Gary Shapiro is a friend of mine who runs CES, and
Yep.
so I'm trying to do all the CES stuff, and then they got barbecue everywhere and fries this, pizza
And
that.
yeah,
You're like,
yep.
where's the salads?
Actually, I got a business idea for you, Chris. We need to have a company that will just deliver all the perfect things like the beautiful little, oatmeals that are all the healthy grains that you're seeing in some of the stores now, and have them pack it up and ship it to us when we're at these shows.
Yeah.
So at least one or two of the meals a day we can have will be really nice and to our taste.
I have to sneak around with potatoes. So we'll get into some of that story in a bit. So let's talk about, we discovered barnraiser.us at South by Southwest, and you're currently doing a promotion too, where you're giving away some of the specialized Austin local food. Tell us more about what barnraiser.us is and why you started it, and what that's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to experience firsthand how Americans were starting to get much more interested in their own healthy food and also where their food comes from. Who are the purveyors? Who are the people behind what I'm eating? Because I spent the last dozen years or so doing food and wine and restaurant businesses with my husband, who's a chef. And what we saw, people coming to the Napa Valley where we live, we have a winery and we got to convert our vineyards to biodynamic. Well, what we saw were people were asking more and more questions and they were getting delighted by the backstory of these really interesting products or makers or farmers. And I know as a mother and just listening to the news and watching what was going on in America, also, we needed a place to be able to help push forward the new food economy that allows us to be healthier, allows the planet to be healthier. So really, the idea of Barn Raiser was born out of my experience and my desire to contribute.
Cool.
Yeah,
And
what it
and Napa has
is.
such great food and great events there. I'm trying to think of the gal I know who does some wines there. She's just a small little vintner. I think she works on one of the bigger plots. But I'm going to pull up the website so that people can see it here, and if that's cool with you. And
Yeah,
we'll bring up
absolutely. Let's take a look.
barnraiser.us. This is the website. Hey, look, there's even a picture of the Obamas and a bunch of other people. This was especially interesting for me because, like I was mentioning to you before, I've been on this journey of eating better. I actually used to be a person who was drinking 10 to 15 Mountain Dews a day. I was eating at McDonald's. Lived a pretty reckless life, a little too much booze, a little too much fat. I was eating those Stouffer frozen nasty, dinners you get. I've been single all my life, so I just ate horrible. And once I hit about 363, 70 pounds, I just I just broke and said something's got to change. And I literally became a vegan, and it's actually been a real big journey. I've lost close to 70 pounds now, and I feel really in control of my life. So what you're doing on this site really speaks to me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, we set out to build a place where anyone and everyone can discover what they're interested in this new world of better for you stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you, your point of view was around health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
For yourself, for somebody else, it might be I'm really interested in teaching my children to eat well, or we have a school garden going on. For a third person, it might yet be I'm really into fitness and I want to eat more efficiently for fuel. Or for a fourth person who says, food is really about the environment and we need to be careful about how we produce it, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to waste anything. So I just know that there's brilliant stories everywhere and hundreds of thousands of people are jumping into the mix to help fix this
Mm-hmm.
problem. So let's just call them the producers or the makers. On the other side, you have 80 million Americans who do prefer better for you natural and organic things, but they can't vote with their dollars everywhere they are every day. And so I wanted to give them a place to be able to celebrate and discover all the great things that are happening, the stories behind the products, as well as the nutritional benefits or the environmental benefits, who's doing great things. And I believe the more that we engage with these brands, the more that we will get interested and start our own discovery, and that'll lead us to even more things that we didn't know about. So you're a great example of now you can start to use Barn Raiser to find people and brands you care about, products that might fit your needs, and you can actually start to create your own collections of things and ask the community for recommendations, connect to the makers, and then go as far as buying or supporting their own crowdfunding projects when they're starting to grow their business.
Yeah,
So
so
the
I can
more,
see some pledges here and some crowdfunding that people are doing to raise money.
yeah, so it's really discovery, connection, and supporting the
Mm-hmm.
movement you care about.
Would we
Um,
call, and if I have a farm, a startup of that nature, I guess with food or some of these different things that are on the site, I can add my business so I can become part of the directory.
Yep. The first thing to do is add your business and create a profile. We have over 40,000 things profiled already. What's
Okay.
interesting about Barn Raiser is we collected stories of people. We connect you to really great products and then places you can go and things you can do. So it's not just a place to buy or a place to read.
Mm-hmm.
It's really the connection of social, people, products, and stories that make it really interesting and allow you to tap into the community of people that are doing great things, get their advice, and also become a curator for your friends and family. So the
Mm-hmm.
more you get into veganism, now you're really a thought leader for your own circles of people, and you can start to spread what you know much more easily through the tools at Barn Raiser.
Yeah. The thing so what would you call this, like a social network per se,
It's
of
like social discovery.
social
Yep.
discovery network of great
Hmm.
food
Yep.
and localized food. I can see here local farmers has popped up. Uh, the plant-based goodness, artisan cheese. I love some of the features that are here. Food waste, responsible business, organic food and farming. That's of course a huge popular hit with organic food and farming. One thing I've been getting into as a vegan is the fermented foods. I've been having
Yeah.
issues where I'm eating so little and I'm eating such good quality food that sometimes I need some extra fermentation in the system to keep the pipes going.
Mm.
And so I've
Yep.
actually been on a spin lately where I've been buying lots of sauerkraut and there's a Korean thing that I get. I always forget what it's
Oh, the
called.
kimchi.
Kimchi,
The
yeah. I've
kimchi.
been
Yeah.
discovering that and testing that out. And that's uh, that's a whole journey that I've been like going, okay, well, this is part of the new life. And I've been sharing that. Sarah Francis, that's who it is. I've been sharing that on my social media channels. I think we introduced you today to our weight weight loss Facebook group that we have going on.
Oh.
One of my friends is Cray Ray, which is Ray Cronies. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Hmm.
But Ray is the one who kind of coached and helped Penn Jillette lose 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I've been basically following the Cray Ray program, uh, and no oils, no fats technically. I mean, there's a little bit in there. No sugar. I've been off Mountain Dew. I went from 10 to 15 Mountain Dews a day to 0 for 6 months now. So I'm pretty proud of that. But yeah, your website harkens to all the stuff that I'm doing with my life to improve it. People are doing with their lives right now where they're going organic. They're concerned about the pesticides. And I've even done what you've done here, or I've searched for it. You know, I've never been able to find one portal. I've had to just go on, try and find individual farms. But here in Las Vegas, we actually have individual farms that you can go to and get goods from, whatever they produce. Usually there's a lot of honey here in Vegas.
Yep.
And this would be great because then I can go to one portal instead of, trying to find this farm and that farm, and some are closed at different times, and it's crazy.
The thing is that we really are all investors in food if we eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that it's really fun to hear your story because everybody has a certain starting point. And if you can use a place like Barn Raiser to really accelerate that discovery, you are going to go to places and topics that you didn't even think were topics, let alone that you had an interest in. And the more people do that, the millions more people do that, the faster we grow a healthier economy. And these businesses and these farmers and these makers and these educators, they're actually on the front lines of America rebuilding how it eats and how it lives. One person, one project at a time. So, Barn Raiser is really exciting because let's just think about it as connecting you to the rock stars of good food and healthy living.
Yeah.
And building fan bases for them. And the better we are at doing that, and you're brilliant at technology and influencing people, the more that we do for these makers, the better choices we will all have, and they'll be in more places for us. So that's what I'm all about, using story to compel millions of people to get involved. Barn Raiser is a fun discovery platform, but it can lead to a lot more change, and it supports the growth of these businesses.
So what's really cool is even if the businesses aren't local, like I saw a bunch of stuff going around the site that I'm like, I don't care if they're local, I'm going to call them up and order from them.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't. Some things matter to be local, and other things don't.
Yeah. I mean, here's some really great. This is Happy Girl Kitchen. They've got some great sort of, looks like they're either fermented or canned carrots and stuff. And the one thing I discovered, and this is going to be coming out. Here's some kimchi, which is really good. They've got some creameries here. I looked at your website and I started going, what if I could travel all these places and go eat there? I started getting really hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
There's even some kombucha.
Yep.
I'm still learning how to say quinoa. I've been calling it quinoa.
Oh, you did it perfectly.
Because I do now, but I used to butcher it. But there's a lot of things that I really like because of what my journey has been recently on just being able to eat really well. And it's kind of probably fate that we're brought together and me getting introduced to your site, because we're actually about ready to launch a segment on my YouTube channels where I'm going to talk about all the tips and tricks that I've used to lose 70 pounds in 6 months. Majority of it was about 3 or 4 months, and then I kind of plateaued, and we had to give up alcohol and get that out of the way, because that kind of interferes with your liver and arrests your fat burn. But what's really amazing to people is when they go, oh, well, how much exercising did you do, Chris, to lose 70 pounds? 0.
Yeah.
0 exercising. Part of what the Cray Ray program is, he doesn't want you exercising until you lose the weight, and then you build around that new frame. And it also has to do with cravings and dealing with all that sort of stuff. And so people will say to me, they go, there's no way you lost 70 pounds without exercising. And I used to argue with Cray Ray, my friend who knows him, and be like, you guys are insane. There's no way that you're losing weight without exercising. And, well, exercising is good. what I've proven and what they've proven is that our food that we're eating, if we're eating some of this crap that's out there in the marketplace, that's got all this poison in it at the grocery stores and stuff, is just so toxic that we can't lose weight, and it's keeping it on us. And when we eat localized food, healthy food, organic food, and really, it really comes down to the food. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, food is that important that I can lose 70 pounds without working out. And if I can do that, holy crap.
It is the only thing that we do every single day that has the biggest effect on us. Now, my husband's a chef, and he's got had a couple hundred television shows on the Food Network, and he used to talk about whole salt. And on every single show, he would talk about that whole salt really has the same micronutrients as your body's saline, and there's 90 minerals and micronutrients. But table salt has a lot of that stripped out and iodine added in. And so when your body's craving salt and you're giving it table salt, your body's really asking for the nutrients, but it's not getting the nutrients that your saline needs to replenish itself and to work like a well-oiled machine, right? So that's just one small example of all of the ways that industrialized food and industrialized agriculture have hurt us individually. And we certainly now know how much it's hurt the planet. But I want to say that one of the things with Barn Raiser is you just discovered a whole bunch of things now to start to save your favorites and keep lists organized. There's a whole feature here to create your collections. And we're going to be adding in the next 30 days the ability that you and I could collaborate on collections. So now that I know that you've got a local sense of what's going on in Vegas, I might actually be asking you to add some things if that's a topic area for me. But you're creating things around vegan foods that you want to try or fermented foods that you want to try. You can create and name your own. It's like a whole bunch of different favorites lists, and we're going to start to add a lot of other features to that. But one thing that I think is really interesting is the community of people who know, whether they're experts or not, frankly, we all want to know what our friends and family know and what the local farmers and makers know. And so imagine being able to poll the creators behind Farmhouse Culture, which is a brilliant fermented foods business out of Northern California. Imagine being able to poll the makers and ask them some questions. Or say, what else do you love? I'm looking for stuff in this category. Now, that's what community is, and that's the part of Barn Raiser that really brings people together the same way you have that really lovely time when you go to the farmer's market. It's not always just about running in and buying stuff and leaving. It's actually about learning, being inspired, meeting the people behind the food, tasting a lot of amazing things. So that's what we're recreating on Barn Raiser. Again, let's serve us. We want to find things. Let's serve the makers and producers. They want to grow and have their fans and have a lot more people celebrating what they're doing.
Yeah. And I'm on the page right now that's in my profile, and you can see here I can share my profile, I can edit it, I can follow people, just like I would on, say, another social network. I can create collections of my favorite foods, inspiring stuff, topics. And so I'm sure this is stuff that I can share, and I can say, oh, you like fermented pickles? Here's my list of great fermented pickles, and I can curate those lists, share them, and all that good stuff.
That's right. And we do have funding right now, but we will be adding in the future the ability to buy, of course, in one click. Or if it's an event to go to, a subscription, you want to join a CSA, you want to be a member of a nonprofit that you discovered here that's doing amazing work in your community related to the food movement, all of that stuff in one touch, because discovery naturally leads to, sometimes I want to take that more committed action.
Yeah, and you can support farmers. I mean, there's so many people that are doing stuff like they're putting their own gardens in their backyard. At CS, we saw things where people were building these, forget what, I'm thinking the right word for this, polypronic, or basically these stands where you could build your own food and have your food growing in your house. And this builds a whole new relationship with what's currently getting popular these days.
That's right. It's exciting to me. that there are so many ways for people to start their journey. And that truly is what we're trying to do, is storytelling. But again, make it personal to you. Find what matters most to you on Barn Raiser first, and then everything else will sort of unfold from there.
What's really funny to me, and I just never got into this. I've been single all my life. I built companies. I've become like a little tech god. In fact, most of my audience became what they were from technology and our coverage of technology, our discussions of technology, the reviews that we do. And then one day I just reached this breaking point with my health. And I felt like I was on the verge of a heart attack. I was so depressed. I was having, suicidal sort of depression. And I just broke one day, and I happened upon Penn Jillette's book, Presto. Yeah. And I heard he lost 100 pounds. I've always been a fan of Penn's. And I was like, I'll read a stupid book. And turns out I knew the guy who knew Ray Cronise. And they've been kind of bugging me for years. And I said, I'm not ready. And I just broke. And I read his book, and I went, I'll try that. And it started working. And I would wake up every morning, 2 or 3 pounds would be gone. I'd be like, hey, this is kind of cool. I lost all my depression. I started feeling better. I had more energy. I just became kind of a whole new person. I'm still kind of becoming that whole new person. And my fan base has just exploded with it, where I found that there's this whole new world. And part of it is because it's so difficult for people to lose weight, for people to eat right, for people to learn about better resources. And so my fan bases love this whole journey. It's like opened up. It's like, they're like, we don't want you to talk about stupid iPhones anymore, Chris. Tell us about how you're losing weight. We care about this.
And in walks Barn Raiser. Come on.
And in walks, like I say, it's interesting you and I meet. I love that. I was just having a discussion with my audience like last week, where I'm like, my gut is like locked up. Okay, so we're gonna go all in with more sauerkraut, and we're gonna go all in with more of the Korean cabbage.
Yeah.
I always forget what that is. So, I bought 4 bottles of it. I've had some of it shipped in from Amazon. And I like trying the different flavors. And so what's been really cool with my audience is they've been able to see this journey where I've gone from an idiot single guy who lives in the frozen food section to someone who I've been learning to cook, learning to prepare, learning that the sometimes that preparedness is part of the journey of the experience of eating well. There's a bit of a, my girlfriends would always say, well, there's, it's kind of meditative to go through the process. And I'm like, that's the craziest thing I hear. Just stick it in the microwave, cook it, done. But now I've learned to find that whole realm that chefs, you probably know this, married to one, that chefs, there's that whole enjoyment of the process, the accomplishment, the sometimes experimenting with different stuff. And so they've seen me, my audience has seen me go from this trailer or this trash eating garbage. And I don't know if you've seen my YouTube or some of the older pictures on my Facebook. I should send them to you. But I actually have videos of me eating these burgers that are this tall. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is we've been beating ourselves up for so long in America, thinking that, oh my God, it's just my body, I can't lose weight. The truth is, it's the food has been really, screwing us up chemically and biochemically, and we're completely off rhythm and out of whack. And so, and then for instance, if you can not eat ice cream in America, and then you go over to Italy and you can eat ice cream 3 times a day and pasta twice a day, and you lose weight, something is different. And we know what it is now. We know a lot of what it is now, that your body can't process it.
Yeah. And you watch movies like Food Incorporated, and that's been part of my journey, is learning about what got us here, that high fructose corn syrup crap, and yada yada yada.
But you said something really interesting, which is, my husband is a chef, and he's Italian, and his mother would always say, when your hands are busy, your mind is free. which means you get to give your mind a rest, and that's when you actually create.
Yeah.
That's when you actually dream and imagine. And the way to do that is through, to some degree, having your body busy or manually doing things that are more mundane and routine. And in our technological society, we don't have times like that anymore.
Yeah.
But so cooking, at the end of preparing a meal, you almost aren't as hungry because you're so satiated from all the enjoyment of actually making food. So I taught kids on a farm in Napa. We created a camp called Dirt to Dine Adventures, and it was all the farm animals and the orchard and the beautiful vegetable garden and the bees. And, you know, at the end of the day, the kids ate better because they were part of the process.
Yeah.
And all of us, if we're part of the process of making food or growing food or getting together with other friends, we will eat better. We will make better choices. The things that worry me technologically are if we are even more separated from what food is, will we make better choices or will we make worse choices, right? So I'm excited to be part of the very early but growing very quickly new food economy and the way to push us to the tipping point of better health.
Yeah, and I really think this is becoming more of a thing. I've seen more people wanting to grow gardens. I really want to grow a garden, but I am in Las Vegas, so there's some challenges there with during the summer and everything fries. But evidently there's ways to do it. But there are local farms here, and I've been wanting to go to them. I've started going to the farmers markets, and more it's about learning about my food, reading labels. You know, I've had times where I've looked at a label at Costco and gone, that doesn't have a lot of fat or sugar in it, and then you're like, what's the serving on that? Like, I really got bit one day by salsa when I was going on this new journey, because I was eating salads and eating a lot of greens, and I said, I'm going to introduce salsa because I like it. Salsa's healthy. It has, it has tomatoes and onions. It's got to be healthy. So I ate half a jar of it, and I was telling all my fan base, I just ate half a jar. Oh, it's so good to finally have salsa. And they go, hey, Chris, have you ever checked the sodium that's in 2 tablespoons of salsa? And I'm like, what do you mean 2 tablespoons? What is that? He goes, no, that's the serving size. And look at the sodium. I must say like 2,000 milligrams of sodium. And I'm like, the serving size is 2 tablespoons. That's 2 chips for me.
Yeah, live and learn.
So yeah, I lived and learned, and there was no weight loss that day. And thankfully, Withings has been sending me scales and watches. They've been fairly supportive, and a bunch of other people have been sending stuff. But we're going to blow this up to a new level of YouTube, where we're going to be talking about this stuff, doing about this stuff. I may actually be contacting some of the farms on the website and saying, hey, send your food, we'll sample it, we'll put it up on YouTube. Because we have people that send us, thousands of dollars worth of tech equipment.
That's right.
But
we can work that out. You're a reflection of what's going on collectively, right? So Barn Raiser is about the stories from the front lines of all of us recasting how we farm and how we live. And we're doing it individually, we're doing it as communities, and we're doing it as a country and as a world, which is really exciting. So I believe the more positive stories we put in front of people, the more they'll start to take action and get involved. So you're a positive story. Barn Raiser's full of hundreds of thousands of positive stories. And now our job is to reach millions of people and to support all of us in this journey.
And I love the idea of the Barn Raiser website, because one of the problems I've had is I'm pretty much, I mean, I've got nothing against meat. I understand the argument there that a lot of vegans have that are on that far area of extreme. I went into some of the vegan groups on Facebook going, hey, I'm a new vegan, I'd like to make some friends, share some recipes and stuff like that. And then I meet the kind of the militant side where, like, you can't even have trap bees on a farm, on a commercial farm, that they have to get the stuff to pollinate. And they're like, no, that's evil, we don't eat. And you're just like, okay, I just want to hang out with some normal people that are cool. And You know, so we actually built the Facebook group that we have, and the rule is there's no judging, there's no arguing about my diet's better, this diet. But what's
Very
been
good.
amazing to me throughout that journey is sometimes I get down and I have a bad day, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't want to do this anymore. And then somebody will write me and say, you know what, you've inspired me to eat better. And I'm like,
That's
holy
right.
crap, I got a responsibility to somebody else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that helps keep me on the straight and narrow. Every day I try and publish my weight. I try and publish my weight journals now,
Mhm.
so people can see what I'm doing, and that kind of helps keep me a little honest, you know.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
and they kind of know, oh, Chris Voss is off the beaten path there. What is he eating there? So, and so part
You
of it,
did pick you did pick one of the hardest diets to stick to, which is
yeah.
vegan. It's very, very strict and hard, and it's hard to eat when you're traveling that way
Hmm.
because a lot of the responsibility is on you. More excitedly, though, again, barn raisers are representative of this as well, is how many different um, more convenience foods and different flavors are actually coming out in the market in these products. So if you look at healthy snacks on Barn Raiser or vegan snacks, now all of a sudden I have a lot of choices now, which is really
Yeah.
amazing. More and more for gluten-free or for low sugar or for vegan, and certainly just for the people who are intrigued by different flavors.
Hmm.
The foodies among us, or in my case, I just like things if they're made by um, smaller companies or individuals that are really experimenting and doing interesting things. Kombucha is one of those areas where you've got the huge companies and then you've got all these really small ones, and it's almost like 150 years ago where you'd have the beer would be brewed in very small batches in very small places everywhere, right? So you've got a real resurgence of the artistry of food,
Hmm.
and not in a snobby way, in a way that is really building um, mainstream America and the middle of the country, as well as just the fringe cities where we think everything starts.
Hmm.
It's giving all of us control over our food destiny.
Yeah.
Let's take this away and make sure lots of people can have great businesses and lots of people can eat well.
Hmm.
Everybody should eat well.
And see, organic's been growing. I've been loving it. I remember watching. I think it was Food Incorporated, and Walmart
Mm-hmm.
was on the show, and they said, "Look, if you guys will buy more organic, we'll provide more organic. Just show us that's where you want to go." And that's what they found. People are going to. I've been spending more time in health food stores. I've been trying different foods. There's some pictures on my Facebook where I'm like, "Here's a spaghetti squash. I'm 49 years old. I've never cooked one of these, and we're gonna try and cook one today." And so
That's a
my
fun
fan
one.
base is like, "Oh, this should be interesting." Chris is gonna
Yeah.
cook something he's never done before, and I've done that with a number of things. But part of that whole adventure, that fun of learning how to eat better, and then of course. We actually have like a health food store here in Las Vegas that they actually make a veggie burger that tastes it's almost just like an In-N-Out burger, which is very popular here in California as well.
Yep.
And it tastes just like an In-N-Out burger, but
Hmm.
you don't have that crash when you're done, where you're just like, oh, I want to just go lay down somewhere.
Yep.
You feel pretty good. It's all veggie burger. I think the worst part for you is probably the bun, because I think that's just natural, whatever. But it's kind of nice.
Well, you know this, right? The metaphor
Mhm.
of diversity,
Yeah.
right? We have to have diversity. So it's also exciting to see all these superfoods
Hmm.
and all of these different ingredients that you're starting to, doing a lot more with plant-based or plant-forward foods is a
Hmm.
big trend. Having foods that have more of a function for health is another big trend. I mean, the beverage or the beverages that you can buy now, that cold brewed teas, and they're made with certain herbs or hibiscus flowers or things that have real kind of medicinal properties or health properties. This stuff never would have been available. And now it's just exploding.
Yeah.
Everything with the chia seeds and what's happening with turmeric, and the ability to start to reflect food as medicine and preventative medicine is really exciting. And for people like you that are intellectual and curious, you can continue to learn more and more every day.
Yeah, I've gone through periods of my life where I go on projects. It's one of the reasons I'm single. I'm either starting businesses or like I went for photography for a lot of years, bought all this expensive camera equipment, played and experimented with that. I've always been kind of like this Renaissance person where I've gone through different things. And so this is my new little area of experiment and learning to eat. And in influencing people, I've had people say, well, Chris, it's great you want to eat that way, but my kids want to eat, the crap cereals and they want to eat this, that, and the other. And I've said, you know what? If I had children and family, I want them to eat better. I wouldn't want them, I walk around and I go, don't become like me. I mean, you can still see portions of all the Mountain Dew and everything Big Macs I've eaten. I'm probably still carrying some of that around. But I'm a good example of the after picture you don't want to become. And so motivating people to eat better for their families. And then, you hear these stories that are horrific where there's E. coli in our food chain because it's so industrialized, it's so huge. I think it was one of the movies that was really heartbreaking. There was a child who died from eating ground beef that was E. coli poisoned. And you just don't know what's in it between all the pesticides and the antibiotics. And I can really tell a difference between eating better food that's organic or better milk and all that sort of stuff. It's more like soy milk. But you can tell a difference as you build this relationship with your body and the experience you have with what I call nutrition as opposed to just food. Like people will be like, hey, I went and got a Big Mac at McDonald's and got some food. I'm like, that's not food. I'm not even sure that qualifies as food. It's not nutritious. It's just junk. You're just. Recently, I started this analogy in my head that's still being developed that I'll probably talk about more. But I'm like, you know what? For a lot of years, we just use our body as a trash bin. We're just like, throw a Big Mac in there. You work it out. I got stuff to do. And your body's like, really? This is what you think of me? This is what you're doing? Right. I'm your trash bin of this crap industrialized food. So
yeah, I have a soft spot for children, and if we don't allow them to eat well early on, it really is a lot harder for them to dig themselves out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what I would say to parents like that is, if you do start to incorporate just diversity and let them try a lot of different flavors, even if they're not going to do it all at once and you're going to get a little bit of pushback, it will start to work.
Yeah.
And if you still get pushback, because there are, of course, really picky eaters, it's not only a myth, but, it's not as much as we think with kids, then start to involve them in cooking.
Yeah.
And if you're not a cook, then take them to a garden. And if you can't do that, then try and find somebody who can somehow involve them in the process. And that will also start to change their eating habits.
Yeah.
Right? And kids are tactile and they're curious. So you got to take advantage of those characteristics with food.
Yeah, help them prepare, get them involved. I hear so many families.
Get messy in the kitchen.
Yeah, I hear so many families say, well, we don't sit down to eat dinner. Well, this is a great way to enter into that whole experience to make the food part of the process. And yeah, so it's been a real journey for me to go through this catharsis of losing weight, eating better. And then what's happened to me over the 6 months is my body's changed, where my metabolism's changed a little bit, and it's become harder to lose weight, and sometimes I've plateaued, and so I've had to redial into my body and go, okay, so what's screwing up here? What's interfering? Recently, I had to sit down and start making a diary of everything, because I was still eating healthy, but I was just fudging too many carbs and being bad, and so I had to learn. Okay, so you know what, we're putting a little too much still in the tank. We got to pull back a little hard on the lever. But yeah, the health thing. I've had so many people say, we need gardens. There's the conversation of the Monsanto industrialized sort of crazy thing they're doing with genetic engineered foods and how that's being manipulated in politics, where we can't even get labels on our food that tell us, that they're messing with it.
Well, you're talking about, yeah, and that's just a huge topic. You're talking about carbs, though, and one of my big curiosities right now, and I'm excited about, is all the diverse types of more heirloom grains that we're starting to see, that you can find in cereals, or that you can find in breads and crackers, or you can find in pastas now. And just by diversifying, I really am a big believer that, most of the world subsides on grains and vegetables, but it's diverse grain, and it's healthier grains, and it's non-GMO, right? So they are able to do far more with far less calories than we do in America. And we know that we overconsume, and we overconsume really expensive, environmentally expensive calories like meat. And meat is really important part of the actual environmental, healthy farming systems when done right, and shouldn't go away altogether. But we just overconsume protein that comes from animals, period.
Yeah.
So you may get really interested in all these heirloom grains because you feel so much better on them. They're so much cleaner and more powerful from the quinoa on down. But every week I'm reading about a new one.
Yeah.
In California, and you start to see that these farmers are doing wheat from ancient types of strains of wheat, so heirloom wheats. And again, they have all the properties that used to be exceptionally good and weren't stripped down to nothing because of the GMOs. So I think there's a really fun journey there to be had too for people who can't and don't want to give up carbs. Just go for better grains and a diverse group of grains through your diet.
Yeah, it's a great journey. So I advise anybody who hasn't quite gone on it, if I can do it, being a crazy man, I mean, making videos of me eating giant burgers. I mean, people,
I saw that picture.
Yeah, my audience has been really surprised. There's a famous video of me at the Heart Attack Grill eating. Well, I didn't ever eat it. It was horrible, but just for entertainment value, the thing. And I actually get on a scale, and I think I'm almost 360 pounds. And you eat for free there at Heart Attack Grill if you're 360. So there's a lot of crazy things from my past that if I can make these changes and then discover how wonderful it is. There's been lots of journeys we've talked about with we were talking about kids earlier, where one of the things I discovered was my parents always used food as a reward for me. If you're good, you'll get some pizza, you'll get some ice cream. Even now when I go to the store, my lizard brain goes, you can have a little bag of Doritos. That's your reward. You're like, what? Hold on. Bad food is a reward?
Yeah.
And so it's great for parents to realize this stuff, to go on this journey. I think if I had a family, I'd certainly be taking them on. They might not like me. They're like, Chris is making us eat healthy food, Mom. But you want your kids to live a good life, and live long and healthy.
We live by first of all, you don't say just only eat healthy food. You just say eat good food, right? And then we're always asking questions. Like I just posed to my son, that thing is full of chemicals from China. Is that really important to you? I mean, I'm just asking you. And you can make that choice. But the other thing is you can't be purists. You gotta say every now and then, some of these indulgences are okay. Like somebody said, well, why do you have chocolate and sweets on barn raiser? It's not healthy. And I said, well, absolutely. It is fine if people are making it in a beautiful way with great ingredients. The other thing to think about is you just talked about really emotional satiation. If you're getting that, you're not going to overeat. And if you're getting nutrients because the food is better and cleaner, you're not going to overeat. It just comes down to you won't need it. You won't crave it. Right?
That's the thing my followers have brought up with me is they're like, well, they'll write me privately and they'll be like, okay, Chris, I'm going to try what you're doing. How much are you starving? And I go, I'm not starving. And they go,
Yeah.
"Come on, you've got to be walking around the house starving." I'm like, "I'm not. I eat as much stuff as I want, and
Mhm.
but I'm eating healthy, nutritional, quality foods that actually, aren't, you know, I mean, I don't even keep frozen vegetables or frozen any sort of frozen vegetables because those evidently are blanched and they have sodium and those just screw me up at one point. So everything I have is live, fresh foods. I used to do videos of my refrigerator. We'll do some more, and people like I even taken pictures of my grocery cart, and people are like, "Really?" And I'm like, "I'm not hungry. I feel great. I went from 10 to 15 Mountain Dews a day and eating those Stouffer nasty microwave dinners. Oh, I just think about what I used to do.
Oh. Yeah. I'm so excited to have been connected with
Yeah,
you around South by Southwest of all things.
that's the great thing about South
But
by.
you're a real inspiration.
Hmm.
I mean, truly,
Yeah,
it's not easy to make these changes, and congratulations.
yeah. It was pretty much do or don't. I mean, I felt like I was right on the verge of a heart attack. I felt really bloated and awful. And
Yeah.
I've done different pictures where I go in and I show bags of potatoes and stack them up and go, "This is what 30 pounds is gone." So it's been pretty awesome. But we're going to start a YouTube series that's going to talk about these things, and we'll probably be talking about some of the different things that are on your website. Let me round this up so that we don't get too much bandwidth thing. And you're going to be at Southwest, I think, for a few more days, right?
Yeah, we're going to be here for a couple more days.
And then on the website, they can go to they can enter for a drawing, and I'm not sure if I have it readily available, but they can enter for a drawing to get into some of the local Austin foods that are there.
Yeah, we're giving away a couple of boxes of the best of artisan foods from Austin in celebration of South by Southwest. And you actually just go to barnraiser.us/Austin-eats.
Hmm.
And I know you'll make that available to your friends, fans, and followers. The other thing I would love for them to do is, when you come to Barnraiser and check your location, we want to know if we're missing some of the people that you think are the rock stars of food and farming that makers that you love, farms that you love, even educators and people doing amazing community projects in your community. We want to make sure we have all the best people on here represented and reflected. So there's a really easy way for you to nominate food heroes from your area. So I'd love for you to ask your audience to do that and
Cool.
invite them to do that for
Cool. So
us.
we can build this whole community of great stuff and everything
Yeah.
else. Going to the farmers markets and seeing the food that's there, and even from a cost basis, like I've saved a ton of money. What I've shared with my audience is I'll show them the receipts of what I pay, and I'm like, "Here's a week's worth of food, and it's all live and it's all fresh, and it's like $50." And they're like, "Get
Yes.
out of here! That's
Yeah.
what? What?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it's actually all that crap, junk food is actually more expensive. It's just,
At the end of the day, it is.
and you have to eat
Yes.
more of it because there's nothing nutritious in it. It's just garbage you're throwing into. You're using your body as a waste bin, really. So,
That's right.
this will be fun to go on this journey with you guys. We're going to help promote you guys at South by Southwest, and so if you're listening to this, there'll be a link on the video in the description box and on the chrisvossshow.com blog. You can go to, you can click on that, you can enter the drawing, and then also sign in, get yourself a profile, get to know the site better, check out some of the cool stuff. If you see something on there that I should check out, I'd love to see it. I was hunting around the site today looking at stuff, and I saw so many good things. I started getting hungry, and I'm like, I want to, like, I think I saw something good from Washington or somewhere back east, and I'm like, I want to order that. And it even made it fun where I actually would like, if I travel there, I'd like to go visit that farm because that would be
That's
fun.
right.
And they
Yeah.
really have that artisan stuff that you're talking about where it's very specialized. And I actually can meet who's got my food and what they're about. And it becomes more of a narrative of knowing what my life is about. I think the French kind of do a little bit of that, don't they? They shop every day for their food. They go down to
They
the
do
market,
every day.
and
That's right.
so all their food is fresh, it's light, and I think that's where we're moving to, because people are just there's just so much poison and garbage in our system, and you never know what you're getting half the time. And then if you look on nutritional facts, you're like, what is in here?
Yeah, well, it takes all of us to work together to regrow this system in the way that we want it to be, because we're pretty backwards in America compared to a lot of other places. But the great news is there's millions of people and all the ingenuity and so much energy. So many people of all walks of life are actually changing their life. They're changing careers to become makers,
Mhm.
to become farmers. So there's a big move with young farmers, first-time farmers being young, but there's also a big move for people who are late stage changing their career and becoming farmers for the first time, or making things in small companies that they can serve to their communities and then grow as they get more popular. So it's really exciting time.
Mhm.
And we want to be part of breaking down the barriers and helping everyone grow and succeed as quickly as possible so the whole movement succeeds.
Awesome. I love this. I mean, it's just,
Well,
this is why
thank
you
you.
go to South by Southwest, the
I
networking and the
mean, here
finding
we are.
people, and bada bing, bada boom. So,
And honestly, you have to tell your audience that it was one tweet that got you in front of me.
yeah, you sent
And
me a
so there you
direct,
have it.
message, and I'm like, oh, okay, hello.
So it was divine intervention. Somebody said we had to meet.
Sounds good. Well, that's awesome, Eileen. So thanks for building this site. Everybody go to the website, check it out. Barn Razor, help me out here. Barn
.us.
US. I get excited and lose track at this point. And check it out. Enter the drawing. Set up a profile on there. Friend me on the website. I'm probably going to be shoveling a lot of my friends onto it. I'll probably be guilt tripping a few farms. I think the farms open another month or two here. They kind of
Yep.
they go down for the winter, and then they come back up. And I was really surprised because, like Las Vegas, I've always thought of as just like this metro desert. Turns out we have these incredible farms that are here, and
Oh yeah.
they're placed all over. We even have great meat farms. There's
Yep.
giant pig farms here, but they have all these little farms that are just in the middle of the metropolis and suburbia. I guess what happened
Yep.
is when Vegas was exploding, they just built suburbia around these farms, and
Right. Wow.
and so I was like, holy crap! Well, I don't need to go to the thing. And even when I go to the farmers market, the produce that I get is like huge compared to the dinky
Yeah.
little crap that you get at the store. And
Yeah.
there's just a difference in the quality of taste. So I'm excited that you guys did this, and we'll be excited to promote it South by. So I'll let you go, Eileen, and you probably need to get some rest because you're about 2 hours ahead of me, and you probably got an early
Looking
morning.
forward to another big day at South by
That
Southwest.
should be awesome. Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much. Everyone, check out the website, and we'll let you go.
Thanks so much, Chris. Really enjoyed
All
it.
right. Thank you, Eileen.
All right.
All right. Bye bye.